Great. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you for coordinating all of this and for hosting. Welcome to the Across the Border panel discussion. I am Tricia Carey, and I'm with Lansing, where we transform trees into TENCEL lyocell and modal fibers, which are used by leading global denim mills and brands. To learn more about TENCEL Denim, you can visit our Carved in Blue blog, or you can follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And you can see our amazing denim videos and those of our partners, our series on Headspace, and conversations like these on our YouTube channel called Blue Lens. The denim industry in Mexico produces approximately 30 million jeans per month, with about $4 billion in imports to the United States. There's been a 6.4% decline in denim imports over the past 2 years. Will we see a reverse in this trend, and what lies ahead? Our discussion today is across the border. How are the Mexican denim mills planning for a brighter future? As the denim industry faces unprecedented challenges, what is happening with mills in Mexico? Will the promise of proximity sourcing finally benefit Made in Mexico? If so, are the denim mills ready to meet the challenges with quick response, technological investment, and sustainably produced products? Fabrics are garments. How are collections going to have to change? In our roundtable discussion today, our esteemed panelists are Steve Maggard, who is president of Kerr Denim, Anatt Finkler, creative director of Global Denim, Rich Tobin, vice president of sales and marketing at Caltex, and Mike Daniel, director of sales for Tavex. Our format today, each panelist will give a brief company overview, which will be a PowerPoint presentation, and then I will ask questions of the panel, and we'll open to audience questions before closing with final statements. So we'll get started here. Kicking off, we'll move into talking to Steve. If you could give an introduction to Kerr Denim.
Thank you very much. Kerr Denim, we've been around a long time, about 129 years now. We currently have 3 facilities across the globe. We have 2 in Mexico, one in Parras, Coahuila, one in Yecapixtla, Morelos, and we also have a facility in Jiaxing, China. We can produce around 100 million yards a year, each of those plants representing a third of that. We're also a part of Elevate Textiles, which is our mother company, and as you can see at the bottom of the slide, we're sister divisions with Burlington, American and Efert, Gutermann, and Safety Components. So a very large textile company, and we're a part of it. So we focus very much on, and I know this is going to be a big topic today, on sustainable production and sustainable products. All of our facilities globally are certified with multiple different customer certifications, as well as Caltech certification on several of our products. So we take that very, very seriously. On the next slide, we really tried to focus on different things that we're working on currently. So I'll go through those very quickly. We have what we're calling our Kerr Denim Community Collection. And basically what we're doing there is we're selecting 2 causes or 2 organizations that we'd like to get behind each year, and developing fabric and products specifically for those organizations or those initiatives. And we're raising money, and we're going to donate a percentage of the proceeds from both the fabric sales and the product sales of those products to those charities. So the first 2 causes that we selected this year was breast cancer awareness. We've rolled that out. We have a selvage denim with a pink selvage ID, and then we also have a natural denim with a colored pink filling that we've rolled out, and then we're getting ready. We've launched the Pride selvage fabric previously, but we're getting ready to have a major push with Pride Month coming up. So again, we're very happy about that. We're focusing on sustainable production, sustainable products, but we also want to be a good focus on human sustainability and get behind causes that our employees are passionate about. And so again, these are our first two, and then we're going to roll out 2 every year moving forward. The second thing you can see on the slide is CECLO. We're getting very good response to this that has been rolled out. It's basically an additive that is put into polyester during the extrusion process that makes it degrade at a similar rate to natural fibers. So same as a wool, same as a cotton. There's a lot of focus right now on recycled, and we definitely are behind that. We have products that incorporate that, but if the fabric does make it into a landfill, then this plastic will allow it to, or this additive will allow that plastic or the polyester to degrade at a much quicker rate than previously. So we're getting very good response on that. In the modern retro, a part of our Sustained Blue collection, we're using everything from organic cotton, recycled cotton. We've got TENCEL that we're mixing in, recycled polyester. We've got post-consumer and pre-consumer options that we're using. That's a very big focus right now, and I think you'll be hearing a lot about that today. And then the other thing that we've launched that we're getting very good response to is our hemp collection, which we're calling our Sweet Leaf collection, and that's blended with TENCEL to help the hand a little bit and get it a little bit more easier to run, and that's something that we're rolling out as well. So a very big focus on sustainability right now. I think a lot of people are looking for that, and one key thing that we are trying to call out is that all of the claims we're making are verifiable. They're documented, they're certified, they're traceable. We're very careful not to be doing any type of greenwashing where we're putting something out there as far as a claim that we're unable to verify and certify. So that's a real quick rundown on the things we're working on right now and the trends that we're focusing on as far as our denim collection.
Overview on global denim.
Hi, first of all, thank you for letting me be part of this panel, Tricia. So I'm going to explain to you a little bit about global denim. Well, we started as a family business. We have over 45 years of experience, and we consolidated as a company formally in 1994 as a denim factory, and we're supplying the national market and the international market, exporting to various international destinations with the primary aim of meeting all of our customers' needs in terms of bringing the best quality denim. I'm here in this slide putting 2 diagrams. The first one is explaining how we are a vertical mill. We create everything from sourcing the cotton till packing and shipping of the fabric. And the second diagram is our sustainability diagram. We have many initiatives. Not all of them are listed on this diagram because every year we increase our sustainability efforts. And we believe at Global, the sustainability starts from the very, very start of the chain. So all of our energy is natural energy. It's all renewable. We have our own hydropower plants, cogeneration plants, of course, all of our water recycling plants. And recently we added recycling cotton plants with our efforts, and I'm going to explain further, of recycling cotton to create a circular economy. We have many programs for better CO2, chemical recoveries, waste reduction programs, care for green areas, and ongoing. So like Steve said, we are at a time where sustainability has to be a top priority of all of us, really. So moving on to the next slide, I wanted also to explain to you a little bit about, we don't have enough time, so please, if anyone has any questions, you can email me after this talk, or email us at Global Denim, and we will answer whatever questions you may have. So here we have different category collections that we've been carrying around for the past season, which is our True Blue, Denim Form, Superflex, Bodyworks, Blue Seal, Stretch, Rigid, and Eco Loop. Each of them have a different theme. I'm not getting a lot into detail now because I can be hours talking, but I wanted to enhance one of the recent categories that we just developed, concepts called Circle, which is a new concept where we are doing 100% recycled cotton blended with TENCEL for softness, and we have both the undyed, the natural, and the dyed version, and it is completely sustainable. It is dyed without water in case when it's dyed, and not dyed as we're using the recycled cotton beautiful color. So that's one of our great programs that we're just creating. And we have also special developments that we're working on, like salt-free dyeing, which we call Cleandigo, Blue Fire, which is our fire retardant technology. We have laser sensitive development, as well as utilizing recycled polyester. And here I also state some of our certifications that we have, because we have to be completely transparent, and we have to back up every claim that we make about sustainability as well. And to finalize, Global Denim always likes to be on top of trends in fashion. So every season we create our own trend report, and also we like to give it away to any customer that would want to see this. So we create our own color story, and its color is going to be very important moving forward after this, as people would want personalization and customization and would want to feel like happier with color. We also create our own color story that we are going to present in our further collections in our PFP qualities.
Thank you, Anatt. And we'll move on now to Rich Tobin from Caltech.
It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm glad you're hosting this event. You know, the slide pretty much speaks for itself. For Grupo Caltex, I think one of the most significant things is that we're a privately owned entity and have been since 1925, so we have 95 plus years of experience. And as you can see, for us, I would say the sustainability is something that we've always been into, and it's been a practice of the Kalish family from day one. We have continuous capital investments to constantly improve our process and our efficiencies relative to being sustainable. We have competitive pricing strategies. We offer a balanced sourcing opportunity in that we have piece dye and denim production, not only in fabric, but in finished garment. And we're fortunate that the Kalish family had the foresight to offer us a very diversified portfolio of services. Again, we offer denim, piece dyes, and home textiles. So we cover 3 different sectors there. And you can see that it goes from jeans wear to sportswear to workwear and uniforms. And with the COVID-19 pandemic, we were fortunate enough to be able to reconstitute some of our offerings in the piece dye operation and gray goods manufacturing, which is in Tepehi. And we have been able to provide products for PPE, and it's given us a nice existence at this moment relative to our business. But again, you know, the sustainable operations that we have are scalable and environmentally compliant. We've worked with ZDHC for many years. Hadel Lam has headed up that area for us. We actually hosted a meeting on our campus in San Juan del Rio. You know, it's something that we take seriously. It's in '94, we built our water treatment facility, which is the largest of its kind. 100% of our effluent is treated. It's aquatic life certified. We recycle roughly 80% of that water back into our operations. And, you know, we believe that the vertical integrated nature of our operation will be very advantageous to the future. In terms of the trends, you know, quiet is basically a perspective of quality with a viewpoint of timeless and value with some comfort. We feel like that in moments like this, we tend to look back for a historical perspective where things appeared to be much easier and tranquil, and we feel that quiet speaks to that. The cult classics is really another area where we're infusing design elements from the 70s and the 80s, but they'll be eco-centric, and by that I mean green washes that we've developed in our own facility relative to using low-impact chemicals and alternatives to caustic agents, and then eco, which is our recycled yarn component, which we've been doing for 15 years quietly, almost like a Nike-esque, just do it. So we have a very large investment in recycled yarn, post-industrial, and we're looking into technologies like Worn Again, which would allow for the full circularity and collection of garments so that we can close the loop and try to avoid any landfill issues by closing that loop. If you're interested in any additional trend information, you can visit us on Newsroom on Instagram by Caltex.
Over to Mike from Tavex.
Thank you, Tricia, and thank you, Lenzing, for allowing Tavex to be a part of this. I'd like to just give a quick history of our company for those who aren't familiar with where we are, but you can see on the slide that Tavex Corporation is a result of a merger of Tavex, that originated in Spain, and Santista, which originated in Brazil. So we have more than 150 years of experience in the production of denim. And in 2015, Tavex North America, which is located in Puebla, Mexico, we have two factories, one in Puebla, one in Tlaxcala. We were acquired by Grupo Siete Leguas. Grupo Siete Leguas is a leading garment manufacturer of premium denim fabrics located in Torreon. And also, as of the last 2 years, has acquired Santista in Brazil. And Siete Leguas was founded in 1958, specializing in textile and apparel, and today considered one of the most recognized textile groups in this hemisphere. Okay, so a few of our capsule collections I'd just like to highlight here. If you need more information on trends or more detail about any of our initiatives, please visit tavex.com. You'll find a lot of good resources there on our website, and also more detail on each of these. A few of these I'd just like to highlight. New for this season is Kerr Denim. This technology is where we're actually applying finishes to the fabric that will allow to neutralize bacteria and potentially some viruses. We're treating the fabric as well as garments if needed. It's hypoallergenic, and it can withstand up to 50 home washes. So we're excited about that. Ultra Soft is the next collection, which incorporates TENCEL for added softness and comfort. This has been one of our strongest categories last season, and we're continuing to grow this category. We have fabrics ranging from 30% stretch to 70% stretch. Be Cool incorporates fibers with cooling technology. Dual Flex, which is our bi-stretch, dual stretch, probably our most complex construction. And our 24/7 technology, which is our tri-blends and fabrics with better growth, better recovery. And finally, on this page, you'll see Everlasting Denim, which are fabrics designed and engineered with durable fibers for more abrasion resistance and higher tear strength, more for outerwear and workwear type apparel. Some of the initiatives I'd like to highlight, I know we'll go into these more in detail as we go through this meeting, but just want to highlight that we're members of the BCI and Cotton Leads. 10% of all of our fabrics contain recycled cotton that we reclaim in our own process and put back into our process. We have a number of water conservation initiatives. We're collecting our own rainwater now. We have our own recycling process from our waste treatment facility. This will be our 5th year to use liquid indigo, with which we've managed to have a cleaner work environment and reduce the amount of caustic soda and hydrosulfide going to our wastewater. We have a collection of laser-friendly fabrics, which we treat the yarn at dyeing, which allows us to have more enhanced laser techniques easily applied. We have eco-finish technology, which is a Montford's machine that we installed in 2017, which is a tandem machine, but it allows us to use much less water than a conditional pad finish. 70% of our factory has wind energy, renewable and clean resource. And the last thing I'd like to mention is we have a new capsule collection called Cotton-less Denim. These fabrics are made with TENCEL and recycled fibers and no cotton. And finally, I'd like to mention that we are proud to be Caltex 100 certified.
Appreciate that. And everyone, great to have the update and overview. For our discussion, some of you have touched on it a little bit, but I think it's good. Let's take a pulse on where we're all at now with our businesses, who's open. I know, Rich, you mentioned that Caltex has been doing some PPE programs. So we'll kick it off with you, Rich. What's the current status of Caltex right now in Mexico?
Yeah, Trish, I mean, I have to say that, we're very fortunate and blessed, and because of our diversity, we were able to step in and play an essential provider role and got approved for keeping our Peace Dye and Gray Goods facilities open to service the opportunities that this crisis has created because of the exportation of all the manufacturing from our hemisphere. There's a short-sided supply. Really, Milliken and Burlington were the only suppliers of note in this sector, and we had scalable, sizable opportunity relative to what we could produce and support. And so we're playing both a component supply side in terms of fabrics, as well as finished PPE masks and gowns. Again, very blessed and fortunate to have a robust business in this area. On the denim side, we're shut like everyone else and trying to best estimate from what we know on what we think that world will look like when we open the doors and come out when the dust settles. But for sure, the PPE participation is one that has helped us navigate through these difficult times.
Yeah. And Mike, what about Tavex? Are you guys open?
Well, our garment facility, Siete Leguas, is open. They've been producing non-medical face masks and hospital gowns. On the fabric side, we have been closed as of April 1st, following the Mexican authorities' guidelines. We plan to open again our full operation on June 1st. We have been shipping to our customers who have required shipments and provided samples on a limited basis. We're excited to be able to start back again here in a couple of weeks, focusing now on our worker safety and well-being. That's our top priority. So, we've gone through some sanitation measures, getting the factory ready to start again. And we put in place some new training and occupational safety protocol from our medical officers and human resources. So we will be applying new actions in our work activities, greater health safety measures, and yeah, excited to start back again soon.
Yeah, I think we all are. And Anatt, what about at Global Denim? What are you guys doing in Mexico?
Well, as Mike said, because of government, we were not able to open till we're expected to be open. If God willing, the situation doesn't go on a different way on June 1st. So we are very excited to start back again. Just before we had to close, we started to get our COVID-19 program started, where we started to adapt all of our facilities to when we would reopen. So now we have a very strict program in place. When we reopen, it's going to be all governmental approved. We're even going to have our own doctor on site to help our workers in case they don't feel well, they have questions, something happens. So we're going to try to do our best to protect our people and to create a sense of safety around our work as the situation starts unfolding. And well, we've been working in parallel of the situation remotely. We've been trying to get all of our customers' demands and sample requests from what we can and are able to be doing from our homes. And I would like to mention also that from this week, our LA office is already open and operating as California restrictions are starting to decrease. So it's also with all the safety measures in place, safe distance, mask, sanitizer, everything. So anyone that wants to jump by our LA office, you can feel safe and just contact us and be there.
Great, thanks for that update. And Steve, I know Cone's been working on some different mask projects. I've seen that on Instagram. So what's up for Cone, both in New York as well as in Mexico?
In New York, we're still working from home. People come in every once in a while if they need to get a package or something, but everyone's working from home. In Mexico, similar to what Rich mentioned, we're fortunate that we have been able to pivot to manufacturing essential need fabrics. A lot of that is in cooperation with our Burlington division, who's very strong in medical and protective equipment or protective fabrics. And so we have been running both facilities in Mexico on a limited basis for the last couple of weeks, focusing on the medical type fabrics. As everyone's mentioned, we're being very careful to make sure our workers are safe, checking temperatures of everyone coming in, additional cleaning. We're not allowing people to take breaks together, make sure that they're social distancing inside the plant, providing, masks, that have been provided by people who made it with our Burlington fabrics. And so we have been running. We expect that our production will ramp back up once more of our customers can begin operations the 1st of June. On the mask project, we partnered with some local volunteers here, and people were just asking what they could do to help the situation. So we were able to get them some Burlington fabrics and some A&E threads, and we sold actual mask kits on our White Oak Shop digital store, and it sold out almost immediately. So we sold well over 10,000 mask kits, and people were buying those to either sew for their personal family, and a lot of people bought and sewed the masks and then donated them to the medical professionals in their area. So we've been quite active during this time.
Yeah, and you were quick to respond on that, so great job. Let's talk a little bit about legislation and the government. So the end of January, the USMCA, which still doesn't really roll off my tongue like NAFTA did, but that's the US, Mexico, and Canada agreement. It was passed in end of January, and analysts expect that this will increase exports by about 5 to 10%. It's scheduled to start July 1st. What are your thoughts about this agreement? Do you think this will help the denim industry? Mike, what's your take on USMCA?
Well, now more than ever, we need to have a strong supply chain in the Western Hemisphere. And anything we can do to make this hemisphere more competitive globally is to our advantage. And I think USMCA is important because it allows us to continue to build a reliable and consistent textile supply chain for this hemisphere. I think it will solidify some trade rules and provide greater certainty for North American businesses that are operating and sourcing in Mexico. When the negotiations began, I think there was a lot of uncertainty, what's next after NAFTA. So now with this in place, I think Mexico will have a stronger investment framework and more transparency and protections for businesses that would like to operate within the country, and hopefully it'll bring more stability in the upcoming years. Investments are usually tied to stability, and so what our hope is that by passing the USMCA, it will initiate more investment in Mexico and continue to provide this hemisphere with the production capabilities that can compete with Asia.
Right, yeah. And Steve, what do you have to add to that?
I agree with everything that Mike said. I think that overall it's a huge positive just having it resolved, and there's not the doubt of whether it's going to pass or not be passed. I think it's going to help the cotton farmers, the fiber producers, the machinery guys that are located in the U.S. I think all of that is a very positive thing. I think it's going to open up some additional opportunities as well. One of the changes that were made is that, eventually after a transition period, the pocketing, the trim, things that were exempt under the previous agreement are now going to have to be made in this region. And so I think it's going to open up some opportunities as far as being able for some of the mills like ourselves to be able to produce that pocketing fabric and some of that that was previously being imported from out of the region. So there's definitely some opportunities there. I'm a little worried, honestly, that the requirement of bringing the trim into this region, the pocketing, the zippers, the buttons, I think it's going to increase the cost to make blue jeans in Mexico slightly. And we just got to keep an eye on that. I'm very hopeful that does not drive some of the more price-sensitive garment making out of the country. So
yeah,
that's a little bit of a potential negative, but overall very positive. I'm glad that it was passed and ratified.
Yeah, and hopefully there's an understanding what value is. Anatt, for you, anything else to add?
Yeah, well, actually, I think on the long term, the USMCA could be a great treaty because it's going to position Mexico once again as a key player for growth and recovery to all of these brands that are looking to start sourcing and diversifying their supply chains, right? So I think overall, this new treaty is going to increase textile exports in the long term, and with that, it's going to increase demand, and with demand comes innovation, and comes more investment and more capacity, and as well as will raise jobs eventually. So I think it's a very good start to create new opportunities and to enhance the Mexico-wide textile industry and denim industry to cooperate and become a stronger standpoint in the global textile export market. So very positive about this new agreement that's going to start on July 1st.
Great. And Rich, anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that my associates and partners have expressed thus far. And I would just go further in that, markets don't like uncertainty. And so now that this is behind us, we can focus at the task at hand, which is first and foremost getting through this situation. And then secondly, expanding on the opportunity that I believe will be waiting for us. Again, I think consumption is definitely going to go down, and I think that with consumption going down, we can slay some of the dragons or crash through some of the glass ceilings that were there relative to price and cost neutral type mentalities that were restrictive. And And, in order to mitigate risk, you need to have proximity and logistical access to your supply chains. And that gives you more transparency and more control. So obviously, with the long history that Mexico enjoys with the U.S., being its third largest trading partner, I think we can see nearshoring take on a more collaborative tone relative from the mills to the brands and the retailers that remain once this is over. But I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's where everyone's questioning, what is the post-pandemic world like? And, I think for Mexico, one of the criticisms has always been about investment. So what are your companies doing for investment? What are you planning the next 3 to 5 years with everything going on? And we'll start with you, Steve. What's Cone doing?
Good question. We're actually being very active. We've just completed relooming both of our Mexican facilities over the last couple years. We've completed a cogeneration facility at our Potastone facility where we're generating our own electricity, recuperating the heat, recuperating the water, the steam. We're also in the process of installing a reverse osmosis water treatment plant in Potas that will probably be active early next year. That will get us very, very close, if not all the way, to a zero liquid discharge facility. In addition to that, we are in the process of installing a Genealogia ozone range at our Yecapixtla facility. A lot of benefits there as far as a product, but also being able to finish with much lower water, chemical consumption. So we're excited about that. We have one up and running in China. We're getting some very good results there, and so we're excited about being able to do that in Mexico as well. We've also invested, although we don't make garments, we've invested in lasers, blue scan equipment so that we can test our fabrics, measure the laser sensitivity, how it's going to react in our customers' laundries. So we're excited about that. Was just in the process of being installed earlier this year, and so we're very excited to be exploring that limit as well.
Great. And Rich, for Caltex, what are the investments?
Yeah, I mean, capital investment has been a part of the DNA of Caltex since its inception, and so they've constantly been reviewing and making decisions relative to such budgetary line items. But, near term and what's going on right now, we have 260 new looms being delivered to our facility in stages, obviously, and they'll be homologated in, which will greatly improve our efficiencies and allow us to participate in the production of more contemporary cloths relative to the women's market, because I believe that's probably the most sizable opportunity when we come out of this situation. I mean, imagine if 1 or 2% of Asian production on women's jeans on a fashion segment are repatriated to Mexico. The speed to market, the flexibility, I think that's a real opportunity. I mean, we already enjoy the #1 position for men's 5-pocket denim. So how much expansion can there really be in that segment? So I think the opportunity will be in women's, but investment, like I said in the beginning, it's something that we do on a regular basis. But near term, it's the looms. We were actually the beta site for the first ozone machine in this hemisphere, and we're developing collections based on it because of what it does relative to allowing for a cleaner palette, a faster wash down, and a friendlier, more laser sensitive indigo. So I think investment's critical, but I also think that collaborative investment relative to conversations with potential customers is something that should be a topic, something that we should all push and reach across the table, because most of the webinars and the conversations that have been going on thus far, it's the supply side. So I think it's a real important element that we reach across the table and engage with the brands that have to be considering nearshoring and come up with some strategies. I mean, look, Caltex, Global, Cone, all of us, it's, you know, the competition is good for the hemisphere. I need my friends that are here at the table with me today when we need a robust supply side, but we also need partnership with the brands and the retailers.
Definitely. Good point, Rich, on the collaboration and the investment that needs to happen. I do see a lot with the supply chain, especially in the denim industry. Mike, for you at Tavex, what investments in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, in the last 2 years, we've made significant investments in spinning. All of our yarn is produced in-house, not only just ring spinning, but also the capability to produce blends with TENCEL and other man-made fibers. As the others spoke, we made a big investment over the last year in stages, new looms, installing new looms, new weaving machines, which have resulted in much higher efficiency and productivity. The eco-finish machine that I mentioned earlier, which allows us to be more responsive and versatile and use less water. In the next 3 to 5 years, we'll continue with installing our ring spinning capacity, which is already in process, and continue installing the last of our new weaving machines. And we're continuing to evolve in technology to use less water. We're looking at other options so that we can have the capability to increase our volume as the market requires. And we're also looking at new technologies to offer the market in colors, such as reactive dyes, pigment dyes, things of that nature.
Great. Good to hear of all the sustainability investments. Anatt, for you at Global?
Well, we at Global believe that this is a very important time to start reconsidering investments and what is really important. So for us, sustainability is one of the top priorities that we have to tackle after after this pandemic. So we're enhancing a lot of investment in sustainability, starting with our own recycling cotton plant that we have been investing for the past year, and we had made a new wing out of our mill. And constantly, we're renewing all of our machinery. We just introduced a whole new set of new weavers and new ring machines that they have, they have more technology on it, and we like to constantly have newer and best technology machinery that has lower emissions, also to the environment, to start creating a really clean supply chain on our side. So also to see the investments that we're going to make in the future, I would like to refer to the investments that we have made in the past 5 years, which is that we expanded our mill and created a new mill with top-of-the-art technology that has the best and new finishing processes. So we're looking forward to keep investing towards this sustainability and innovation and technology path. And I would like to agree with Rich on the cooperation side, that we are all in this together. And as Mexico will recover growth and brands start coming back to this hemisphere, the demand will start appearing more. And as more demand, more innovation, and more investment that we can create, and the better technology and product that we can deliver as well.
Great. And so you've all touched on it around sustainability, and I'm throwing that word out there because it's a little bit overused, but to define that is how we can lower our impacts and also to address some of the social programs that are needed. And I think there's a lot that we can do in progress, and you mentioned it too, around collaboration with the brands. But for sustainability, Rich, where does Caltech stand? And if you could also address some of the social programs that we have at Caltech.
Yeah, look, our greatest asset are our people, and we really take pride in the social responsibility programs, from continuing ed to medical to sports leagues, and we will continue to stay focused keenly on those areas, in our gray goods operation and feedstock facility that's been fortunate enough to stay open during this crisis. We've really been following all the CDC guidelines, so all the hand sanitizers and the thermal imaging and monitoring of the workers and trying to stay on top of it. We've been fortunate. We've had no outbreaks thus far. But in terms of sustainability, we offer pretty much the same portfolio that you'll see at any mill that's really been paying attention over the last several years. Ring dyed indigos for laser sensitivity to decrease the consumption of chemicals and water, and also to make them more laser friendly so that you have higher throughput timelines, and so you can organically grow your max capacity, so to speak. We've just installed new slasher ranges, so we have rope dye and slasher dye product. We use liquid indigos. Our water stewardship, like I said, in '94, we built the largest water treatment facility of its kind in Mexico, and have the aquatic life certification and reuse 80% of it. We also have a gas-fired cogeneration plant for our electricity, and we actually sell the excess energy that we don't consume internally to the surrounding communities. So, the Kalish family has been very, very visionary in this regards and very proactive for a very long period of time. It's just something that we do. We feel that we have to have this benevolent for the greater good of all position, because, honestly speaking, large users of finite resources should actually pay more, not less. And that's a whole concept to wrap your head around. But in reality, if people were doing that, and that was the situation, then we would keenly stay focused on our consumption of it and be better stewards. But I think, COVID-19 and the pandemic and the pause it's given us to reflect is, it's only going to speed up that pace. And so sustainability is important, but the second part of that is real transparency. 380 degrees, not only with the supply chain, but also with the brands. And we have to become symbiotic and a mirror image of one another to do so.
Definitely. And Steve, what about you for Cone as far as sustainability and not just environmental, but also social?
A lot of the same things that Rich mentioned. I mean, we really want to take care of our people. Health clinics, we have on-site nurses on every shift. We have clinics where they can bring their kids or their grandmother in, mammograms, blood sugar checks. We do those a couple times a year. Scholarship programs supporting ongoing education for our workers as well as their children. It's really important, and we take the worker well-being very, very seriously. We in our mills, I'm sure it's the case for everyone, they're fairly high tech, a lot of electronics, a lot of automation. We spend a lot of time and resources training our workers, and we need to make sure they're taken care of, they're happy, they're challenged, they feel safe, they have job security, and that's very, very important. On the sustainability aspect, we've already talked about the different products and actions we're taking with the cogeneration plant and things of that nature, recovering rainwater. Mike mentioned we do that as well. I think, we're all working on similar things. One thing that we did earlier this year is that we actually came out and put publicly stated goals of what we're going to do by the year 2025. Responsibly sourced fibers, that'd be 80% of the cotton purchased from sustainable sources. 50% of our polyester we purchase will be from recycled content. Reduce our water consumption by 25% per unit of production, and then we've committed to reduce our greenhouse gases by 2.5% each year. And the important thing to me there is we've committed to do that and be transparent using science-based targets for those overall reductions. So it's not just saying we're doing it, similar to what I said earlier about greenwashing. We need all of us to be verified and certified and document the improvements that we're making so that our customers and the brands know and can trust what we're saying is true, and they realize that doing business in Mexico is smart for them because we are taking care of the environment, taking care of our people, and our customers aren't going to be embarrassed by the press or somebody coming into one of our facilities and doing an audit.
Right.
I think that all four of the companies that are talking today, they run their business as it should be ran. And, I always tell my customers, you're not going to end up on 60 Minutes doing business with us. We might not be the cheapest, but you're not going to get embarrassed by an environmental or a worker treatment issue coming up in one of our plants either. So I think we all can relate to that.
No, good point. And the science-based targets is very interesting. Lensing also has approved science-based targets, and we'll be doing more to educate the market around that. And so it's good to hear that you have that too. I want to start to wrap up a little bit so we have time for audience questions, and I'll give Anatt and Mike a chance to highlight their sustainable and social programs if we could just move through that. So I'll pass it off to Anatt.
I like to tell that Mexican people, we are very warm people. So as everyone has been mentioning, we treat all of our employees as family. So that is one of our key pillar things, that even with all the social security programs that we have in place, we like to support their families as well. So one of the examples that we do like this is like during this pandemic, we have been sending all of our employees food baskets and boxes so they can share with their families. They don't have, they have everything they need, also like supportive messages, because we like to think as a global team, as a family, in all the aspects of the process. So also we have ongoing training programs, so every one of our employees becomes skillful in many areas, not just in the area that they work. So they have more abilities in the future to grow as well. And I like to say that we have a great pay program for these employees as well, and focusing on the sustainability. And also what you mentioned, a little bit of education, we like to merge these both and say that to increase sustainability, we need to invest a lot of education. So apart from the programs that I mentioned, our EcoLoop program, which is our recycled cotton program, our Ecologene, that's the waterless dyeing, and the Clean Indigo, where we dyed with one of the best indigos in the market, and aniline-free, we at Global like to also make our support open to universities and have several programs with them throughout the year to really teach the students about sustainability and the denim supply chain, because we know that these professionals, when they grow up, are the ones that are going to demand the change that is going to drive innovation at the end. So I think one of the most important things to focus on that, apart from, of course, a certification, transparency, and everything, is to spread the word out there. And as brands do it, we do it also on our side.
Great. Very good point on education. And Mike, for Tavex?
Yes, just as previously mentioned by Steve and Rich and Anatt, is, we take our worker safety and well-being as our top priority, especially during this time. We offer some educational programs, including time off for continuing education, and we offer English classes. We have incentive programs for things like good attendance, productivity in their respective work areas. We have quality improvement teams, and we offer incentives based on sustained quality achievements. Several ongoing programs that we offer outside of the normal activities, just to show that we care and take care of our workers. Regarding sustainability and hurdles for sustainability in Mexico, I think they're the same in Mexico as they are for everyone globally. We've talked about sustainability for a long time now, and there's a real connection with our consumers. And now it's more important than ever. It's a requirement now as opposed to just being a concept as it was in the past. And for us, we're focusing on longer lasting products with better design because we believe that the essential part of being sustainable is being efficient and making a good quality product and communicating it effectively. So I think our challenge is, how do we measure our sustainability efforts going forward? And then how do we communicate these efforts to the brands and to the consumer?
Yes, big challenges for sure. So looking at some of the questions from the attendees, there was a good one in the beginning from Guy asking about hemp. I know, Steve, you mentioned you're doing some hemp blends. And Rich, is Caltex doing anything with hemp?
Tricia, yes, we've got some developments in hemp, and I love hemp and really looked into it originally during the cotton crisis some years back, and it's an interesting fiber. It's actually softer than cotton. It's got a longer staple fiber than cotton. I really like it. The issue is the supply side. Until we begin to cultivate and have access to fiber within the hemisphere, you're bringing it from halfway around the world. So you have to ask yourself, how sustainable is that relative to the carbon footprint? But I do like the fiber, and I think there is a place for it. I just hope to see it being cultivated here in the U.S. and/or Mexico in the near future.
Right. And Steve, where is your supply of hemp coming from?
It's currently being sourced from France. To Rich's point, I agree with him 100%. And there is hemp being grown in this hemisphere, but unfortunately, it's not. It's more for like CBD oil extraction and not as much for textile fibers. But I do think it has a very good story. And what I'm hopeful is that if we can get some traction on a couple of these products, then it'll create a supply chain where it'll be worthwhile for them to grow it and move it to this hemisphere.
Right. Another question here about consuming your own denim waste, so post-industrial waste, or is it exported to partner textile recycling companies? Mike, if you could answer this for Tavex, what are you doing about your waste?
Yeah, we have processes in place where we actually capture our waste lint throughout our spinning and weaving processes, and we recycle that and blend it back into our products. So actually 10% of all of our products has our own internal post-industrial waste.
Yeah, and Anatt, for you at Global?
Oh, like I mentioned before, our Ecoloop program is exactly directed towards that. So all of our post-industrial waste, we transform it back to yarn. And every year we're trying to get more of our fabrics to have a certain content of recycled cotton. So we create the circular economy that we all want to make and talk about. So yeah, we're very proud of this actually. And we have been testing with R&D to create and bring more development into this initiative.
Yeah, I mean, denim mills have been working with post-industrial waste for years. It's just people didn't really talk about it, and now I think it's good to have this level of transparency. I'm going to take one more question from our attendees, and it's kind of bringing out the crystal ball of how quickly do we think the denim production in Mexico will come back to normal under our current conditions. I think this is a question a lot of people are asking in the industry of when we'll start to see things come back. Rich, do you have any insight?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, the more traditional markets or static markets relative to workwear and such will probably not crater or soften to the degree that the fashion end of our world will. Just given the length of the clothing and the amount of finished product in the supply chain already, I think it's going to take some time to get through that, and also for people to feel safe to go into stores and shop. We all know that online businesses have spiked, so the retailers that have migrated to that platform or were early acceptors and adopters of it, whether it be Target or Walmart or Amazon. They've actually maintained their position and their sales well relative to those that have not. But to answer your question, I think that the back end of this year we should probably see some return in overall demand in the broader fashion market, but I think it'll probably push into 2021 before we really get a true read on what the situation will be.
Yes, yes. And Steve, what do you think about when we'll start to see things come back a bit?
I sound like a broken record, but I agree with Rich. I think it's going to be early 2021 before it's back at anywhere close to previous levels. I think there's a lot of inventory in the supply chain that needs to be worked through. There's a lot of fabric that's going to be sitting around from cancellations. I know there's a lot of the garment makers who have quite a few garments that they're holding. So I think we'll start seeing a pickup gradually toward the back half of the year, but it'll be early next year before we're back to anywhere close to previous levels. I hope I'm wrong, but even some of these stores that are filing for bankruptcy and announcing that they're shutting doors down, that's going to create an inventory bubble as well, as the garments and inventories at the stores that are being shut down are redistributed to the other stores and sold. So I think it's going to take a little time to work through.
Yeah, unfortunately, and I hope it's not the world's greatest sale and seeing garments at 75% off and crazy prices. So we hope that we will get things moving back. So just in closing, I'd like to ask all of our panelists in one word, your vision for the future in denim. And we'll start with Anatt.
I would say promising, because I know this time is going to bring so much more change, and change is always good. So a lot of innovation is going to happen. So I would say promising in every area. Great.
And Mike?
One word, transparency. I think as we move more and more into requirements that are being asked of us from the brands, from the consumer regarding sustainability and sustainability practices. So my one word would be transparency.
Great. And Steve?
I think the word I would use would be sustainability. And I think that applies to many different things. It's going to be product, it's going to be how you're manufacturing, it's going to be how you're treating your people. It's going to require companies to act sustainably in every aspect of their business to assure that they're going to survive this and be in business in future years. So if we're going to be sustainable as a company and still in business a couple years from now, we're going to have to operate sustainably in every aspect of our business.
Great. And Rich?
In a word, necessity. COVID-19 has created a necessity, and necessity is the mother of all invention. So from sustainability to transparency to better stewardship to ethical behavior, we all need to really collectively look at ourselves, but then also look at each other and hold one another accountable for our choices and our practices. And so for me, necessity defines all of that.
Great. And for any of the attendees who didn't get to have their questions answered, please feel free to reach out to all of our panelists directly. Their emails are listed here. And I'd just like to say in closing, I think that former President Lyndon Johnson said it correctly, that yesterday is not ours to recover, but tomorrow is ours to win or lose. And certainly it's by working together, the collaboration, not only the supply chain, but as we've mentioned, also the brand, in order for us to kind of rebuild and reset with the denim industry. So a big thanks to all of our panelists who shared their time, thoughts, and expertise. And I also want to give a shout out and thank you to Ashley, who was our host today and organized everything for this panel discussion. If you'd like to find out more about our webinars on TENCEL Denim, you can check out Carved in Blue. Anyone who pre-registered for this webinar will be receiving the link for the YouTube video, which will have this entire presentation. You can also share that with your colleagues. I just want to say, thank you for joining us, and I'm going to sign off with our TENCEL mini jean. And this was originally from White Oak, and I really want to say, let's continue to stay in touch and figure out how we can get through these times. Keep well and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Tricia.
Thank you.
Yeah.